GSM, it is good to be with you tonight. Hey, can you guys help me thanking Elizabeth right now? Woo! What a blessing. This is Thanksgiving week, and when I think about the season that God has got prepared for us in the area of fine arts and worship with bringing Elizabeth to us, what a blessing and what a wonderful thing for us to be thankful for this week. I'm going to talk to you tonight as we continue our series, and I'm going to start by telling you a study that was done at Harvard University, right? The really, really smart people, and they did a study, and the question they tried to figure out was, what makes for a happy life? Like what goes into, what's the most important thing for a happy life? They had a whole bunch of questions, and they polled a bunch of people, and they disseminated the data, and they came back and they said that meaningful relationships, close connections with a handful of people was number one, like by far. And you say, okay, yeah, I can buy that, right? So here's the cool thing. They've been doing this survey and this study every year since 1938. Like before World War II, like before I was even born. And guess what? Every year, year after year, for 85 years, same result. Meaningful relationships, deep connection with a few people, the key to a happy life. And if it's true for the last 85 years in America, I think it's safe to say it's true for human history. And that's where we find ourselves. And tonight we continue the series, Family Matters. And your immediate family has been your first opportunity to develop meaningful relationships, to have this experience as you've grown up. For some of you, that's been awesome. For some of you, not awesome at all. And for probably most of you, kind of a mixed bag. Like, yeah, it's been pretty good, but there's been some jacked up stuff in my family. It's kind of, that's just the way it is. So, but tonight we're going to talk about a transition that's happened. You can put the first image up for us. As we think about our families, think about the time spent with your family. What we're going to see here, think about it as time spent with your parents, okay? And this is through the course of your life, right? So when you're very young, you're spending all this time with your family, and then you can see at 15, like most of your days, right? But at 15, 16, 17, where you guys are, this precipitous drop-off in hours spent, say, with our parents. Did you know, this is crazy, and I heard this week, by the time, seniors, you graduate and you pack up mom's minivan and you're headed off to Bloomington or Purdue or where you're ever going, you will have already spent 90% of the hours that you will spend with your parents. Is that wild? So there has been this small group, this family unit that you've been part of that has had this great influence on your shape, right? And how you see the world and what you do and what you value. But that is in the process of changing, and it's changing to who? It's changing to your friends. Your friends, you're in the midst of this transition, 15, 16, 17, high school. You're in the midst of this transition from your parents and your family being this predominant influence in your life to transitioning to where your friends, the people you spend time with, are more and more critical to that. We'll put a definition of friend up. We're talking about friends tonight. I love this definition. It's simple, and it says this, that a friend is someone, we got it up here? Yeah, there it is. Friend, one you love freely. I added the or like part, right? Because not every relationship is like this super intense thing. But one you like freely. And I love that the implication of choice there, right? Pastor Ted, our lead pastor, he loves to talk about this, the reality that our choices are sacred. And that's certainly true when we're talking about our friends. So put the next image up there. So I created this picture. I want to try to give you a picture of the way that you can think about your circle of friends, right? So we got these loose circles of friends. We got people that we spend time with in different areas and different times and different places in life. And I think of these as like proximity relationships, right? Because proximity has pushed you together into relationship with these other people in your lunchroom or in your class or at your sports practice or at band practice or at a competition or at work, right? And on at GSM. Actually, if you guys can just leave that one up there for a bit, we're going to reference that for a bit. But this is kind of a picture of what your life looks like right now because of these proximity relationships. okay? Now, I want you to focus on the red one. Okay, this is the inner circle. These are your best friends. These are the people that it doesn't matter if you're on lunch with them. It doesn't matter if they play in the same sport as you. It doesn't matter if you got out classes with them. You're going to find time to hang out with this group. These are your best buds, okay? And tonight, my challenge for you tonight is, how do you go about deciding who gets to be in that red circle? Who's in? Who's in that close circle? See, here's what happens, is that when we talk about influence, like it's going away from your parents, it's transitioning your friends, it's really just about those handful in your close circle. Those are the ones that are going to have opportunity to influence you, right? And to challenge the way that you see the world. And so I would argue we have to be very, very careful about who we let into that red circle. We have to be extremely, extremely diligent about those choices, and we're going to go into that a little bit. Here's something else that's happening maybe you haven't thought about. There's another transition coming up. There is yet another transition away from your family having this big influence to now your friends in high school and all these circles of friends, but there is another transition coming. And it's coming for all of you, but I'm going to illustrate it with our seniors. So if you're a senior in high school, I want you to stand up. Even if you're a guest today, don't worry, I'm not going to make you come up and sing. If you're a senior, stand up, okay? And now give me 2 fingers. Put 2 fingers up. Okay, so in several months, you're going to graduate from high school, okay? And you've got all these loose circles of friends. You've got all these proximity relationships. For many of you, that pool might be 40, 50, 75 deep. When you think about all your friends on the sports team and all your friends that you sit with at lunch and your friends at GSM and all of these different circles, it might be 40, 50, 60 people. Easy, right? All right? The numbers tell us that within a few weeks of graduation, the number of people you will continue to get with from high school is down to a handful. And fast forward 1 year, okay, think about leaving for my sophomore year of college, 2. 2.3 is the number, okay? 2, maybe 3 friends. All of the people that you hang with right now, everyone that belongs in one of those circles of your loose friends, think about you're a year and a half away from that being 2. Isn't that? I mean, that's something to think about, right? Wouldn't it make sense? You guys can sit down. Wouldn't it be appropriate for us to spend some time in prayer, to spend some time being thoughtful, to being intentional about who gets into that red circle? If this is our reality, we should really, really think about who that is. And I know some of you might be thinking, hey, I'm going to go off to college. I'm going to recreate all those circles, Matt. And that's true. You're going to maybe be in a sorority and be in intramurals, and you're going to live in a dorm with some other people, and you're going to create these circles. But relative to life, those school years are very short. And as the school years wrap, those circles, those loose circles of proximity friendships will dissipate. They will go. And then maybe you're thinking, yeah, but once I become adult, then I just recreate those in all of other ways. No, you don't, really. I mean, it's really, really different. Really different. And the statistics about how American adults go about making and keeping friendships is really startling. So it's good for us to pause and to talk about our friendships, to talk about what can we learn, what can we see, how can we be intentional and invite God into this conversation with us. So we're going to do that by looking at one of the, probably the most well-known friendship in the Bible. And there's going to be 3 characters in our story. One is King Saul. Maybe you've heard of King Saul, first king of Israel. Okay, he was big, strong warrior, tough guy, kind of moody, kind of insecure, kind of doesn't really have it all together emotionally. We'll see that here in a minute. Second character in our story is David. He would be second king after Saul someday, but at this point he's not king in our story. But he's David and Goliath, that David that killed Goliath, had the big win over the Philistines. Okay, so that's already happened when we get to our story in 1 Samuel 20. The third character of our story is a guy named Jonathan. Maybe you haven't heard of Jonathan. He only appears in a few chapters in the Bible. Jonathan is the oldest son of King Saul. So by culture, he would be heir to the throne. Saul thought that his son ought to be king. That would have been normal, right? It kind of is still normal. We think about the royal families and all. Jonathan was also a general. He was also a leader of men. He was also kind of part of Saul's inner circle. So both David and Jonathan, think of like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And King Arthur's got his guys. Like Jonathan and David are both in Saul's inner circle. They're both leading men out in battle, and this is where they become friends. And they're fast friends by the time we get to our story. So let me set the story up. King Saul is now getting very, very jealous and envious of David, young David. He's not much older than you at this point. And he's envious because all the men love him. They see how he leads in battle. They see how brave he is and how courageous, and he's got leadership abilities. And all the ladies love him too. They're like writing songs about him and singing the songs in the streets, and Saul's about had enough of this. Yeah. So David tries to calm him down by playing the harp. He plays the harp too. I don't know, this guy was amazing. So on 2 different occasions, King Saul picked up a spear and chucked it at David to kill him. David finally got the message and said, I think I should go. So he leaves the palace. That's where we pick up the story. He's left the palace. He's fleeing for his life now. And he runs and finds his buddy Jonathan, who is out. And we'll pick it up here. In fact, I can read it right here. This is awesome. 1 Samuel chapter 20. I'm reading this from the Message. The Message is kind of a paraphrased, easy to understand version of the Bible, because a lot of this was written kind of in third person. It was a little hard to understand. So you're hearing this from the Message. 1 Samuel starting in verse 1. David got out of Naoth in Ramah alive and went to Jonathan. What do I do now? What have I inflicted on your father that makes him so determined to kill me? Nothing, Jonathan. You've done nothing wrong. And you're not going to die, really, you're not. My father tells me everything. He does nothing, whether big or little, without confiding in me. So why would he do this behind my back? It can't be. But David said, your father knows that we are the best of friends. So he says to himself, Jonathan must now know nothing of this. If he does, he'll side with David. But it's true, as sure as God lives, as sure as you're alive here before me right now, he's determined to kill me. Jonathan said, tell me what you want me to do, what you have in mind. I'll do anything for you. David said, tomorrow marks the new moon. I'm scheduled to eat with the king. Instead, I'll go back and hide in the field until the evening of the 3rd day. Okay, so this is like a multi-day festival. If your father misses me, say, hey, David went back to his hometown in Bethlehem for an anniversary reunion to worship with his family. And if he says, oh, good, then I'm safe. But if he gets angry, well, then you know for sure that he's made up his mind to kill me. Oh, stick with me in this. You've entered into a covenant with God with me. Remember, if I'm in the wrong, he's like, Jonathan, just kill me yourself, but don't give me up to your father. So they set up this little scheme. They want to test to see where's Saul at in this thing. Sure enough, David doesn't show up at the party. Saul asks Jonathan, hey, where's the son of Jesse? He went back to Bethlehem to worship. And this is Saul's reaction. Never, exclaimed Jonathan. No, I'm sorry, I missed that verse. Just go to the next one. We got the idea. There we go. Saul exploded in anger at Jonathan. You son of a slut. Again, this is the paraphrase version. It's like you're talking about your wife there. That's a little harsh. Don't you think I know what you're in cahoots with that son of Jesse, disgracing both you and your mother? As long as the son of Jesse is walking around free on the earth, your future in the kingdom is at risk. See, so Saul's telling Jonathan, hey, don't you want to be king? Don't you understand that as long as David's out there, you can't be king? Now go get him, bring him here. From this moment, he's as good as dead. Jonathan stood up to his father. Why dead? What has he done? Saul threw his spear to kill him, and he missed again. So fortunately, Saul's not a great shot. That convinced Jonathan that his father was fixated on killing David. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so that's our story. And the story goes that Jonathan helps David, and David ultimately becomes king. We know that from Scripture. Here's what's really, really cool about these Old Testament stories, is that we believe that they are history. They really happened. Those are historical facts from thousands of years ago. But the beautiful mystery of the Bible is that those same old stories become word pictures, become illustrations that we can apply to our life today, and they will give us a picture of what is real in our lives today. And so it is with this story. we're going to, first let's just point out a couple of things just to kind of fixate on this friendship here. A couple of things that we see in Jonathan as it goes with his friendship with David, right? So first we see that both of these guys are walking with God, right? In cases they're both saying, they're both talking about their faith, they're interacting, they're praying to God, they're getting answers, they're speaking of their faith together. In fact, the last verse we've got here, Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord is a witness between you and me and between your descendants and my descendants forever." So we see that there is these guys are both in a similar spiritual journey. We also see in Jonathan just a sturdiness. That's the best word I got for you. Now, I don't mean he had strong legs and good posture. I mean that he was a man of really good character, right? He understood what was true. He saw what was up. And in his wisdom and out of his friendship and love for David, he stood with them and just displayed so much kindness and fortitude in a really difficult situation. The other thing we see is how much he sacrificed. He gave up his opportunity to be king. He certainly broke his relationship with his father, and he took his own life in his hands ultimately. So we see this picture of Jonathan standing with his friend David. So our invitation, you guys, is that this story gives us a model for approaching, for taking a thoughtful approach to our friendships. I'm talking about the red circle close friends, like influence my life friends. And this is an invitation for us to step into this model. There's a lot of different reasons. If we just polled you guys, what are the reasons you choose your closest friends? We'd have a million reasons. But tonight we're going to stop and we're going to say, God's given us a model here. Do we want to step in and apply God's model to my friendships going forward? Because someday, that big group of friends that I have now is going to be reduced to a small handful. And making friends later is going to have more challenges in it. And I want to take an approach that would honor God, and God's going to step in and meet my need and bless me with good people. See, here's the thing, is that God's always looking to do a work in our hearts, right? We believe that. We believe there's always steps for us to take. We talk about that around here. And here's what's awesome, is every time we go to God and we ask him for something, we ask him for help, here's what I believe is true. I believe God goes, "Oh yeah, great, because I can help you with that, but now that you understand you need me, now that you feel a little bit of dependence on me, I've got an opportunity, I've got an opening to do something really great in your heart." Does that make sense? That we're showing our vulnerability to God, and God's going, "All right, now I can help you grow in here." And the same is true in this friendship model we're going to talk about. It's that God wants to do something in us, and then that same is going to be appropriated in our building this group of friends. This will make more sense as we go. So there's just three things I want to point out, and I want you to see how I think God wants to work this model. So number one is that we want to have spiritual alignment with our closest, dearest friends. Spiritual alignment. And you might go, whoa, Matt, are you saying all my friends are supposed to be Christians? Not what I'm saying. In fact, the Bible would instruct us otherwise. We ought to be in a lot of circles, like we were showing earlier, where we're involved in a lot of different things and having an impact on many, many people. But those that get in close, those should be Christians. But how can we be prepared to step into that if we haven't set our feet, right? So the first thing we have to do is decide, am I going to follow Jesus? Am I going to turn my feet? We talk about this all the time, and take steps towards Christ. Our mission, right? Our GSM mission is we're helping students take steps towards Christ and doing it together, right? So God, here's what God wants to do with this model of friendship. He wants to say, I want to get your feet to the point right, and I want to start doing a work in your heart. You want to have friends that really matter? This is what we're going to do. We're going to get you pointed the right way and go this way, because now you can go, step one, who's going the same way? Who's going with me, right? Because if we're not on this journey, it's going to be really, really difficult to see who's on it with us. So I'm going to tell you the first of two. I have two Proverbs that I just absolutely love. Two of my favorite verses in the Bible. You're going to get them both tonight, back to back. Here's the first one, talking about the spiritual alignment. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything in life flows from it. This is in Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, this is Solomon talking. Solomon was the wisest man in the world. If the wisest man in the world says, hey, the most important thing is, whatever he says next, we better listen. He says, guard your heart. What does that mean? What does that mean relative to the people in our life? See, our life flows from our heart, right? What we value, what we're passionate about, what we believe, the trajectory of our life is coming from our heart. So we're going to be really, really careful, really intentional about who gets in close enough to influence me. Right? Like I've got a really good friend, and he's an atheist. And we spar about spiritual stuff all the time, and we've been buddies for a long time, and we don't see the same politically, we don't see the same on a lot of things. I don't even know why he's my friend, but I know God wants him in my life. But you know where he's at? He's right out here. And that's as close as Fred's going to get. That's it, right? Because I'm going to guard my heart because those spots are reserved. Okay, guard our heart. And then the second part of that is when we start bringing friends in our believers, the other piece of that is that what we want to do is we want to normalize our spiritual experience with our close friends then, right? That we would pray together, that we would talk about our struggles, that we would maybe do a devotion together on the YouVersion Bible app and make little notes, and our friends would see that, and we share that, right? We come to GSM together, right? So we'd normalize our spiritual walk within that friendship. Okay, second one that we see in Jonathan, I talked about this sturdiness, this strong character. And the second proverb I want you to see tonight, this is Proverbs 13:20, says, walk with the wise and be wise. The companion of fools suffers harm. Walk with the wise and be wise. The companion of fools suffers harm. Let's start with the second half. Solomon again, he says, if you bring fools in close, you bring people in close to your life that will make foolish decisions, you will be harmed. It is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. They will bring harm to your life. You know what I would add to that, just the foolish behavior? I would also include the perpetually negative people, the hypercritical, critical spirit people. You know where those people belong? Even if they're your friends, they belong right out here. Because those people will do harm when they get in close. The companion of fools suffers harm, but walk with the wise and be wise. If you spend time and you build your life with people of wisdom, you're going to become wise. If you spend your life and you build your life with people that are growing in the fruits of the Spirit, you will grow in the fruits of the Spirit. You remember what those are? I'm going to give them to you from Galatians 5, but I want you to think about this list relative to our close friends. Love, that's a huge one, right? Joy, peace, patience, that's big in friendship. Kindness, goodness, faithfulness or loyalty, right? Gentleness, self-control. How big is that in good friendships, right? And as we partner and grow with people that are going that way, we are going to walk and we're going to get lifted with them, right? Walk with the wise and be wise. Okay, last one. Here we go. I want you to think about how much Jonathan sacrificed for David. And we don't live in a world where we're asked to lay our life down for like Jonathan almost had to do for David. Jesus said in John 15, we could have done the whole message tonight just on this verse. There's no greater love than to lay your life down for your friends. He was talking to his disciples. You know where Jesus was 2 days later? He was on the cross. You think the disciples didn't remember him saying that just 2 days earlier? Whoa. But that isn't the world we live in. That isn't the kind of thing we typically have to do. So what does it mean to be sacrificial in your key friendships as part of God's model for building that in us? I want you to think about this idea, and you got it on the screen there, this posture of generosity. Say posture of generosity. Okay. What does that mean? That means you simply come to your best friends with this kind of posture. Like, how you doing? How can I help you? Not that you have to go ask them all these questions, but you have this heart attitude towards your best friends, right? Like, how can I lift you today? How can I make your life better? How can I encourage you? Like, what great happened? Like, I want to celebrate with you without being jealous or envious at all because it's awesome that you're having a great day. Where are you struggling? How can I help you, right? This posture of generosity. Okay, you want to hear a secret? This is the posture that we are called to carry all the time with everyone if you're a follower of Jesus, right? Love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, et cetera, et cetera. That's the high bar, right? Like everybody, all the time, posture of generosity, right? Ready to serve, ready to love, ready to help. But the low bar, guys, is with our closest friends. Can we commit to having a posture of generosity with our closest friends? Because it will make such a huge difference in those friendships. Let me give you, I want you guys to get this posture thing. So let me give you an example, real life, simple, but you'll understand. So about every other month or so, maybe every 2 or 3 months, John and Kyle and I go have breakfast together, okay? And when I walk into the restaurant to meet Johnny, my heart attitude, I'm prepared to pick up the check. I'm gonna buy Johnny breakfast. That's my intent. Because I wanna show off to Johnny that I got the money to buy him breakfast? No. Because I want him to think I'm a swell guy? Nope, that's not why I do it. Because Johnny's destitute, he's not gonna eat if I don't buy him breakfast. Have you guys seen John? He hasn't missed a lot of meals, right? Hey, I haven't either, okay? Why do I walk in, listen, why do I walk in prepared to buy John breakfast? And here's the cool thing. He walks in prepared to buy me breakfast. That's John's heart attitude when he comes in to meet me. I know it is because oftentimes he buys me breakfast. Because the investment of that breakfast is so low compared to the value of that friendship to us. Right? That's just this, this is worth my investment. And when the check comes and one of us goes to grab it, and maybe I'll say something like, I don't remember whose turn it is. You know what? I'm old. Maybe I don't remember 2 months ago whose turn it is, but you know what? That's not really what I'm communicating. You know what I'm telling Johnny? I'm telling Johnny, I'm not counting. I'm not keeping score. Because you matter. Do you have friends that keep score? Does that make you crazy? We have friends at home, and I swear, like, if the pizza's $39.80 that we're splitting, and I throw a 20 on the table, like the couple, this woman's going to her purse for 55 cents, and I'm going, oh my goodness, are you kidding me right now? Why are you keeping score? Why are you transactionalizing our friendship? Right? Posture of this matters. And whatever I've got, it's yours because you matter to me. Okay. I was trying to figure out how to end tonight. And I just want to show you 3 pictures. You can put the first picture up. Am I rocking those white pants? Yeah. Oh my gosh, and the jean jacket. I mean, listen, I know I don't quite have it going on right now, but there was a time. Very short season. This is about 3rd or 4th grade. In kindergarten, I picked up this scrawny redhead. His mom and my mom were both room mothers in Mrs. Casper's kindergarten class. We became buddies. We're fast friends by this point. Go to the next picture. And in 6th grade, we picked up one more dude, the guy down here, Tom. This is like, we're just after high school, like sophomore year of college. We're in Lincoln, Wisconsin. Okay, you can give him the 3rd picture. So I'm representing there. See the GSM hat? So that's in Colorado a couple years ago. Guys, if you were to meet Tom and Dave, you'd spend a little time with them. You know what you'd come away saying? You may not say it to me. Do you know what you'd come away saying? You're like, they seem like nice guys. I don't know. They're altogether unremarkable. Tom and Dave aren't rich. They're not uberly talented in some unique way. They don't give me access to important or powerful people. They're just a couple guys that love Jesus, and they've got my back, and we do life together. And if I could wish anything for each of you, anything at all, outside of a hope in Jesus, the second most important thing I would love to give you is a couple of lifers like Tom and Dave. God's given us a model. God's shown us what friendship looks like. And he's invited us to start to walk towards him and be really, really careful about who we pull in really close with us and let influence what we believe, what we value, and how we're going to live. And when you choose well, your life will be enhanced in ways that you can't even imagine right now. Let me pray for you. Lord, thank you for the opportunity for us to see what is true, that you have given us a model to build around us these critical, important friends that can enhance our lives and help us to walk towards you. You've given us the church to be a place to find those friends. You've given us GSM. I pray for my friends here that they would have the courage to turn their feet towards you and walk, and they would have the wisdom to choose well and to pull people in close that will enhance their lives and move them towards you. Amen. Oh, so when you go to your tables for groups, that's what's next. You're going to have some questions, and then I'm going to invite you guys to play a game at your tables, a little exercise I like to call sometimes, always, and never. Okay, sometimes, always, never. So you're going to have, there'll be sheets at your table, and so what I want you to do is when you think about great friends, what are some things you should always do in great friendships? What are some things you should never do in great friendships? And what are some things you should sometimes do in great friendships to build and maintain those in a good way? Thanks, guys.